my memory and my memory alone. Now, whether my memory is the truth, I don't know, because I have been told conflicting things.
What's up, everyone? Carolina Girl here. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, June 5th, 2026. TGIF. I hope everyone's had a great week so far. I've been trucking right along. We're on the horizon of the weekend, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend here, so I'm glad I'm able to get this video out now. I started this file on this video back last September, maybe October, and I've been debating on whether I wanted to put this video out because it's such a sensitive subject when you talk about the families. A friend of mine over on TikTok, 1 ounce of Jameson, provided me with a Google Drive that she put together of information she compiled from Facebook groups over the years. Now, this information is not new to those of us familiar that's familiar to the case, but it's very beneficial to any newcomers, and I feel it needs to be revived and recirculated. It refreshed my memory of some things and put the fire under my butt to do this video. So shout out to her. If you're over on TikTok, please be sure to check her out. It's 1 ounce of Jameson. I will provide a link to her channel in my description box. But I want to take a moment to elaborate on my intro video because I'm not sure if I've ever really talked about it before. But Gypsy states her account is her memory, and whether it's true or not, she's not sure because she's been told different things. And so let's listen to that one more time. Unfortunately, I don't have just the clip, so we're going to actually have to listen to my intro again.
The things that I account is my memory and my memory alone. Now, whether my memory is the truth, I don't know, because I have been told conflicting things.
I mean, I got a question, okay? Gypsy, is it your memory, or have you been told what to say, how to say it, and how to feel? See, Gypsy states that she's been told conflicting things. I mean, this is her life. It was, she lived it, right? So how can anyone tell her how she lived and what she went through? I mean, how do you guys interpret what she just said here? Do you guys get a different take from it, or do you feel the same way I do when you hear that? I mean, in my opinion, it sounds like she's talking out of both sides of her mouth, because how could you have a memory and then you're like, well, I've been told conflicting things, so I don't know if it's true or not. Are you kidding me? Look, I'm 50 years old, and I can remember back to when I was fairly young. I mean, I don't know exactly how old I was, but I mean, I have memories going back to when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and I don't need anybody else to tell me how I lived my life and what went on in my life. And I lived a traumatic life, Gypsy, and I don't need anybody to tell me what I witnessed growing up, because that shit is in my head every single day. I can't get away from it. I can't escape it. It's embedded in my head. I don't need somebody to tell me what I witnessed growing up, what I went through growing up. And so it sounds pretty damn stupid when you get on Bree's, lives like this and you make idiotic statements because you're trying to do damage control and you're making it worse for yourself. And so, it just doesn't make sense to me. And so this video may be a little extensive because I do have a lot of information to share, and I would love to have y'all's take on the information that I provide you. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I'm going to be taking this back to the beginning. Some of this information may be new to you, and it may not be. But if you're new to this case, then all of this is going to be new to you. So whether you're new or not, I hope you stick around, and I hope you enjoy the video. And like I said in the beginning, a friend of mine, Jameson, provided me with a Google Drive of information that she compiled over the years from Facebook, and so that sent me digging. And I came across this timeline that I would like to share with you guys. And it's just a general timeline that was posted in this Facebook group. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the date it was posted because I couldn't find it again after I took the screenshots. But I do know it was posted. The group was created June 16, 2015. And so I do know it was posted early on in the group, like within a month, we'll say. And so it says July 27, 1991, reported actual date of birth for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Initial report showed July 27, 1995, and it gives the source. And so she does give the source all the way down, and I'm just not going to read that part. 1998 to 2000-ish, Bobby Pitre, cousin, quoted losing contact with D-Gyp. Losing contact, guys, with D-Gyp. In another article, he states that he hadn't spoken to them since Gypsy was 7 or 8 years old. Late 1990s, Dee Dee pleads guilty to bad check charges, and it says it gives the source. Now, these blue hyperlinks, they were broken links at one time. This must have been their source at one time, but they're broken links now. And if you click the link, it will say 404 page not found. And so February 2001, Gypsy was named honorary queen chosen by Ronald McDonald House at the Mardi Gras parade. In the same article, it said that Gyp was 8 years old and was vision and hearing impaired. She could no longer walk, is fed through a feeding tube, and has some brain damage from seizures. February 2001, article states Gyp attends CCD classes at St. Joseph CO Cathedral in Thibodaux, Louisiana, as well as being taught at home by her mother. Members of St. Joseph were trying to plan a fundraiser to help raise money for a new feeding tube pump and a service dog for Gypsy. Gyp spends a lot of her time at Children's Hospital in New Orleans. She says in an article that her best friend is her grandfather, Claude Pitre, and it gives the source. Now, and here I'm kind of confused. I'm not quite sure where they're getting this from, if it's at July 12th, 2015 or what, but it says Dee Dee's sister says that she hasn't seen D-Gyp in 12 years, only communicated by phone. So I'm assuming this is like current time, and that the sister saying that she hadn't seen them in 12 years. Says the family had invited D-Gyp to family events, but Dee Dee declined, blaming Gypsy's illnesses for not being able to go. And it says Facebook, Claudia Pitre Olivier, July 12th. And so I don't, if it had been 12 years from 2015, then that makes sense. But if she's talking about in July of 2001, I mean, Gypsy would have been 10 years old there. And so that doesn't make sense. So I'm not quite sure, but I've wasted enough time on that. 2003, Children's Wish Endowment in Slidell, Louisiana grants Gypsy's wish to go to Walt Disney World and swim with the dolphins, which I've provided the newspaper clipping to the right at Discovery Cove in Florida. I've had that clipping forever, and I finally get to use it. I mean, I clipped that a long time ago. A lot of this information was in the big group that I was in. And got shut down. I guess Gypsy got it shut down last year, and it was really unfortunate because a lot of this information was in that group and it was lost and when it went down. And so I'm actually grateful that Jameson sent me the Google Drive that she did, because I had that information. A lot of that information I did have on my laptop, but at the same time, a lot of it I just was in that group, and so I figured I could just refer back to that group anytime to get what I needed. And so I'm really glad she sent me that Google Drive. Dee Dee's sister says that she hadn't. Okay, we've already read that. We read that. Okay, December 21st, 2003, D-Gyp guest of honor at the Children's Wish Endowment Christmas feast. August 2005, Hurricane Katrina reported that D-Gyp evacuated 10 hours prior to the storm to a shelter later named by Gypsy Camp Bright Beginnings. September 2005, D-Gyp arrives in the Ozarks. St. John's Hospital arranged a helicopter transport from Covington, Louisiana to Springfield, Missouri. St. John's puts D-Gyp in a home in Aurora, Missouri, rent-free. At time of this story, it was reported that Gypsy was 12 years old. October 2005, woman from Aurora, Missouri states that she knew D-Gyp when they moved to Missouri. She indicated that she was part of a group that provided medical supplies. At that time, she indicated that Gypsy used a feeding tube, although it was never seen. July 2007, Third Floor John writes and records a song for GR. 2007, Gypsy receives an Ole Foundation Child of the Year award, stated to be 12 years old. Also mentioned in the article that Gypsy spoke at various New Orleans universities on why we should love one another. And so let me pause real quick and show you this. This was a screenshot of that I took from that group that was posted June 17th, 2015, and it shows that Gypsy was listed as the Child of the Year for the Ole Foundation, and it gives her story. It says Gypsy Rose Blanchard is 12 years old, yet one of her friends says she has wisdom and compassion beyond her years. Multiple health issues don't stop Gypsy from encouraging and uplifting others. Before Hurricane Katrina caused Gypsy and her mother to relocate, Gypsy would talk at university in New Orleans on why we should help and love one another. At 8 years old, Gypsy took the allowance she had been saving for a trip to Disney and used it instead to buy food and blankets for those in need. When she and her mom ended up in need themselves, Gypsy's mom says she's never complained. Instead, she would say things are getting better and point out a beautiful flower, saying, "We didn't see that yesterday. How lucky that we can see it today." Just 10 hours before Hurricane Katrina struck Louisiana, Gypsy and her mother were evacuated to a special needs camp in a safer part of Louisiana. Gypsy named their shelter Camp Bright Beginnings and arranged for the evacuees to gather for stories, songs, and games. Thank you, Gypsy Rose, for sharing your smile and big heart with the Ole community. The other nominees were Anna Maria Bennett and Colin Woods. And so she was also later removed. And so while we're here, I'm just going to go ahead and show you that screenshot as well. And so this is courtesy of Jameson, and it shows the Ole Child of the Year award, and it shows what the criteria, is, and this was as of 2018. So as of 2018, these were all the recipients, and you can see 2007 is missing. 2007 would have been Gypsy's spot. And so let's go back to the timeline. And so we've already looked at that. So 2007, 2009, numerous trips provided for treatment by Angel Flight to Hope House, Kansas City. September 2008, DGIP moved into Habitat for Humanity House on Volunteer Way, which you see the picture to the right, Springfield, Missouri, reports Gypsy to be 13 years old here. 2009, story published in Children's Mercy magazine, Treasures, details on being reunited with Dr. Beckerman, Gypsy's doctor from Louisiana. Article also mentions how Gypsy's medical records were lost during Hurricane Katrina. Gypsy would have been 14 years old here. October 26, 2009. Authorities are called to DGIP's home after receiving a report by 911. Report states she had checked on Gypsy and couldn't find any symptoms that would support what DD alleged was wrong with her. DGIP was able to provide documentation to police showing Gypsy to be 18 years old. DD claims she had to change the spelling of their last names and other info because she was afraid of her ex-husband. January 2010, DGIP attends VisionCon. It is unknown whether this was the year that she received the Mandalorian armor, or it was subsequent. It was in subsequent years attending. August 2010, DD assaults Domino's driver after he refused to take an out-of-state gift certificate. And so 2011, friend and neighbor Aaliyah reports to Facebook about an incident with a pedophile that Gypsy met online. It was said that she ran away to meet him. Dee came and got her. Aaliyah states that Gypsy had an ID proving she was not a minor, while Dee had an ID proving she was a minor. The incident was not reported to the police. February 2012. DGIP detained by Hobby Lobby manager after attempting to steal stickers, a border, stamp pads, and 2 pieces of unfinished wood, totaling about $20 under Gypsy's legs in her wheelchair. News report states incident was minor, a municipal violation for stealing. Dee Dee stated that they had just returned from Disneyland and were making scrapbooks. 2012, during a stay at Hope Lodge, Kansas City, Dee Dee shaved head in support of cancer patients. Hope Lodge gives patients a free place to stay while receiving treatments. October 2012, Gypsy meets Nicholas Godejohn on ChristianDatingForFree.com. Transcript from Aaliyah's Facebook. August 2013, photos posted from DJIP on Facebook documenting a recent surgery Gypsy had. It is unknown as to where or why Gypsy had surgery. October 2014, during private messages to Aaliyah on Facebook, Gypsy claims to be 18 years old. January 2015, Disney World trip, Harry Potter, Make-A-Wish Foundation. Woman claims to have seen and spoken to DJIP while waiting for a bus to the park. She says Dee Dee says they are celebrating Gypsy's birthday. January 24, 2015. New GoFundMe account established for Olay Foundation 2015 trip in Saratoga, New York. March 2015. Alleged face-to-face meeting with Nicholas Godejohn at Cinderella premiere. May 2015, reported break-in at DJIP's home. Items reported stolen were $1,000 cash and prescription drugs. June 8, 2015, DJIP reported at Cox South Hospital between the hours of 4:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. June 14, 2015, at 3:22 p.m., that bitch is dead, and that we see the screenshot there to the right. June 14, 2015, that night, Dee Dee Blanchard's body is located in the home. And so June 15, 2015, NG and GR are arrested in Waukesha County, Wisconsin. And June 15th, I also believe, is when everybody, pretty much the world and the family members, were notified that Dee Dee had been, murdered. And so this next shot that I want to share with you is a public post that Dee Dee's brother, Evans Pitre, made the morning that he found out Dee Dee had been brutally murdered. And so you see, it's Evans Pitre, June 15th, 2015. They say death comes in threes. Today I found out my baby sister was brutally murdered. And then blank was taken last week, and my sister-in-law, blank, was 1 month ago. All will be missed so much. I've been keeping track, Mr. Reaper. It's time to move on. Time to start the healing process with the loved ones who was spared. And so this is a family photo of all of Dee Dee's siblings, and then, of course, her father. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, don't shoot me, but I believe it's from left to right. We're going to say Tate, Dorla, Claude. No, excuse me. Tate, Claudia, Claude, Dorla, Evans, and then the father is seated. Now, I may be wrong. If I am, I apologize, but I think that's who they are. And so, just like with any true crime case that gets national attention, Facebook groups pop up all over the place, and it's common for family and friends to join these groups to see what is being said, or depending on the situation, defend their loved one, right? And so this case wasn't any different. Groups popped up all over, and some are still active. The family seemed to flock to this particular group. Now, it was Christy Blanchard, which is Gypsy's stepmom, Bobby Pitre, which is her cousin, and then Claudia Pitre, which is Gypsy's aunt. And they all seem to be the biggest spokespeople for the family in these groups. Now, I wasn't a member of the group back when it first originated, but I could tell Christy was in the group. I believe she had been blocked, because I'm not blocked from her. So I think she was blocked from the group, and so I can't see anything that she commented, posted, or anything like that. But people that knew Dee Dee from Missouri, they're in this group too. I mean, everybody was in this group at one time or another. I don't think any of them are in the group anymore, but in the beginning they were. So I will be providing commentary as we go over the videos and the screenshots. And so the video, I put this video together. It's of Bobby Pitre's interview that he gave to this to a person that's in this group. I don't know if it was like an admin or what. And so you can see it was posted in the group June 17, 2015. It says update June 16, 2:17 p.m. Central Time. I just got off the phone with Bobby Pitre, Dee Dee's nephew and Gypsy's cousin, who was kind enough to give me an interview. I warn you, this is about to get a lot worse. Let's start from the beginning. According to Bobby, no one on his side of the family from which Dee Dee was estranged was aware of Gypsy's online boyfriend. In fact, he hadn't seen or spoken to Gypsy since she was about 7 or 8 years old. When she was born, she may have been slightly premature. He recalls that her skull might have developed differently or been smaller than average, but other than that, Gypsy had no major health problems. It all started when Gypsy was riding on a motorcycle with her grandfather. Now, here comes the motorcycle story, folks. Now, take note, June 17, 2015. It's only been 2 days since Dee Dee was announced that she was dead in her bed. So this motorcycle story is already coming out. A lot of the Gypsy stories came out in these Facebook groups. And so I'm just getting my feet wet with this because I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. I've always kind of side-eyed the family coming out and talking like the way they were. I've always side-eyed Bobby. And so I wanted to make this video and I wanted to get my feet wet with it. But there's a lot more information that I do plan on putting out in other videos. But they started in the Facebook groups with these narratives, the narrative for Gypsy. And, and just like her in the intro, it's my memory, but, it may not be true because I've been told conflicting things. What? I mean, that's talking out of both sides of your mouth. It literally is talking out of both sides of your mouth. And so it all started, with Gypsy riding on a motorcycle with her grandfather. It took a little turn too sharply and took a spill, with Gypsy riding on the back, resulting in a small scrape on her knee. Bobby said Dee Dee took this and ran with it. Suddenly, Gypsy was unable to walk and required a wheelchair. Although, Bobby hadn't talked to her or seen her since she was 7 or 8, but he's got all this knowledge about what's going on with Gypsy, right? So to the family, Gypsy was fine. Bobby remembers a few incidents where she seemed to be healthier than what Dee Dee was saying. Once she was pushing other cousins around in her wheelchair, and another she was jumping on a trampoline. On both occasions, when Dee Dee saw her using her legs, she shouted at her to get back in the wheelchair. On the trampoline, Bobby said that when Gypsy saw her mother coming, she actually collapsed and crawled back to her wheelchair as though paralyzed. I have things coming up further. I don't want to jump too far ahead, so I won't say a whole lot. There were no records of the doctors Dee Dee claimed to be taking Gypsy to. Suddenly, Gypsy was taking seizure medication, which caused her teeth to fall out, and Dee Dee was receiving government funding. Gypsy never went to school because, as Bobby says, as close as Dee Dee could keep her, she kept her. She needed to get that check. He also believed she was forcing Gypsy to wear glasses she didn't need. What? Bobby, maybe you need glasses. Have you looked at her? Her eyes are not right, and I'm not making fun of her. She has what they call strabismus, and she actually had to have 3 eye surgeries when she was younger to keep her from going blind, and I'm not convinced she's not. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's been stated she's blind in her right eye, and she needed the glasses to try to correct that lazy eye she had. And you know what? I've got a clip of Gypsy. She was on one of Bree's lives one morning. When I got up, I was having my morning coffee and I was scrolling through TikTok and I happened to come across Bree's live and Gypsy was on it and I was listening to him and I happened to clip her stating that she was going to Walmart that morning to get a pair of glasses because she couldn't see. That she was in denial. She kept trying to tell herself she didn't need glasses, but she needs glasses. She wouldn't let, going back to his interview, she wouldn't let Gypsy eat certain foods because they made her sick and had rules for herself as well. Bobby said Dee Dee only ate potatoes. He could still remember the way she licked butter off her fingers. Yeah, right. I bet you can. And, it's kind of funny because we got Facebook messages saying that Dee Dee was making gumbo and all this, I think Dee Dee was eating more. And then, the Cape Cod video, they were going out to restaurants and stuff, which, I guess you could order potatoes at the restaurant, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that Dee Dee only ate potatoes. That's crazy. The story was, maybe you got confused, Bobby. The story was Gypsy was fed potatoes, and Dee Dee made them in every color and every way she could to try to change it up and make it interesting for Gypsy. That's how the story went. So I think you got confused there because it was Gypsy ate mashed potatoes, not Dee Dee. So anyway, while in Louisiana, Dee Dee was living with her father. She did all. Oh, excuse me, guys. Hey, the Marines are in town, so you might hear some booming in the background, and my house might rattle a little bit. There's nothing I can do about it. It's all day and all night right now. They're training, so excuse the noise if you hear it in the background. They're playing war. So she did all the cooking, presumably to help out the family who was letting her stay there. And suddenly her stepmother started getting sick. After being called out for her treatment of Gypsy at a family gathering and the suspicious sickness of her stepmother, Dee Dee was kicked out and she left, severing ties with her family. When Dee Dee left, her stepmother recovered. Bobby says Dee Dee's mother behaved very similar to Dee Dee, keeping her daughter close and making odd rules about food. He adds that Gypsy was nearly unrecognizable in her mugshot, and that when she passed, his grandmother looked similar, which I'm not understanding what he's saying there. Is he saying the grandmother looked like Gypsy in her mugshot when she passed away, or I don't understand what he's saying there. Anyway, before getting news of Gypsy's murder charge, Bobby said he and his family were sitting around a pool last night talking about the crime. He says the consensus was unanimous. Gypsy finally snapped. She definitely killed her. I think the truth needs to be exposed, he told me in our conversation. Though this case is far from over, it seems to me that upon meeting her online boyfriend, Gypsy saw a way out of the cage her mother had put her in. But it's horrendous to think that murder was her only option. It's horrendous to me to think these people come out of the woodwork with these stories trying to demonize, Dee Dee when, he's admitting that he hadn't even seen Gypsy since she was 7 or 8 years old. And I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. Bobby's only a year younger than I am. And so when Gypsy was born, he was 15 years old. And I'm not saying that he wasn't, interested in his cousin being born or whatever, but my nephew was born back when I was about that age. And even though it was like kind of exciting, it was like, oh great, I'm an aunt, or whatever, wow. My concern was more about my life at the time, like my friends partying, going and hanging out somewhere or whatever. I was happy that, I was an aunt finally or whatever. I was a first time aunt. That was exciting, but for the most part, I didn't care about a baby. I'm just trying to be honest with you. I just didn't care about a baby. I was, like I said, as a teenager, you're selfish. It's all about you. And so at 15 years old, I don't think Bobby was concerned anything about Gypsy or Dee Dee for that matter. And that's just my opinion on that. In this next clip that I want to play for you is Claudia, which was Dee Dee's sister. And she posted, what it was is she did a interview for, I guess, the newspaper or maybe a news channel or something. And they posted that to the group. It was on the same day, June 17th, 2015. And so it says, what led the Blanchard family down a dark path of deception is among dozens of questions raised after Dee Dee Blanchard was found dead in her Springfield home. Dee Dee's daughter Gypsy and boyfriend Nicholas Godejohn are charged with the murder. Claudia Pitre Olivier, Dee Dee's sister, told KOLR 10 News they came from a family of 6 siblings, all whom reside in Louisiana. Olivier recalled a happier time when they went on family trips, but over the years, she said Dee Dee began to distance herself. For Olivier, thinking of how many people her sister Dee Dee Blanchard may have deceived feels like a bad dream. I'm really sorry for the people she hurt, but like I said, we hurting too, said Olivier. Olivier said her sister's path to deception and fraud started early on in Dee Dee's life. I don't know why she always felt like she was the black sheep, said Olivier. Dee Dee then began distancing herself from a family. It took a turn for the worse when her mother died in 1997. After my mama passed away, she kept getting further and further from us, said Olivier. She wanted to be controlling, but she really put her control over Gypsy. Olivier said Dee Dee and Gypsy were forced out of their family's house and into the projects. The deception then intensified. She said Dee Dee opened credit cards in the family name without permission and used Gypsy's leukemia and muscular dystrophy as her meal ticket. Claudia does recall Gypsy being sick when she was young, but saw red flags. So she does recall Gypsy was really sick when she was younger. Here, the sister, Dee Dee's sister, says Gypsy was sick, but she did see red flags. She said if she'd be playing with any of our kids, the minute she heard Dee Dee or see Dee Dee, she's paralyzed, shut down, said Olivia. She said what made Gypsy snap is clear. Her mom, no doubt in my mind it's her mom, no doubt, because she probably figured that would be the only way to get away from her. Maybe I'll kill her, then I can get away from her, said Olivia. She's tainted because all of this. She just wanted freedom. That's all she wanted. Olivier said despite multiple attempts to reach her sister, Dee Dee kept her life of deception a secret to family. She can't hurt nobody now. It took for her to die for it to stop, but she can't hurt nobody now. She said, she's not there to be punished, but she paid with her life. Olivia said the family is in the process of figuring out funeral arrangements for Dee Dee. Gypsy and her boyfriend will be held in Wisconsin, where they were found, until Greene County deputies can arrange for their return to Springfield. And the next, that's all copyright information there. And so, it's just interesting to see how. Wait, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I still have some other things to show you before I get too far ahead of myself. And so this next clip that I want to show you is just a random post I selected to show what other people besides the family were talking about. And this is dated June 18, 2015. So it would have been 3 days after Dee Dee was found dead, or that they announced that she had been found dead in her bed. Let's remove that, and we'll add that. Again, this is just a random post just to show you what people are saying. It says, after reading those messages between Gypsy and her friends, if they're even confirmed to be real, I am starting to get a new perspective of Gypsy herself. And also the sickness situation. I'm thinking that it may be possible that Gypsy has some type of illness, but it was well over exaggerated by Dee Dee. I also think that Gypsy does have some sort of intellectual disability, but this could be also her lack of education. She seemed to be head over heels in love with boy Nicholas, who honestly to me seems like he has some sort of mental illness. Obviously, because who masturbates in a public area where children may be? Anywho, I wish I could obtain all of the messages between her and Nicholas. It would give me a much better idea on both of their mental capacities. I know it's wrong to make assumptions without all the facts, but just from that little bit alone, I kind of feel that Gypsy held on to every word this man would have said to her, as if he were some god in her eyes. I feel that maybe he himself was the one who wanted to murder Dee Dee and talk Gypsy into it, in hopes to steal from her. And with how gullible and uneducated she is, she agreed. I think this man does think he loves Gypsy as well, but has a serious mental illness. I have a few ideas of what that may be, but I wouldn't want to say unless I could see some of the interactions between the two of them. I feel he wanted to kill Dee Dee, and the fact that he thought about raping her is just eerie. I do not think it was Gypsy's full-on idea to murder her mother. I think she was convinced it was the best thing to do, saying she would ruin things for them, and she went along with it because the love of her life, her savior, pushed it. I think she is also saying she asked him to do it to protect him. Her emotions in court, as well as the concern for her mother's body being found, make me believe she feels guilt and had love for her mother, but was so wrapped up in this boy that she loved him more. Very overprotected and sheltered children are very vulnerable. And I mean, I agree with that as far as the very overprotected and sheltered children could be vulnerable, but I don't understand where the savior part's coming in. And this is just June 18th, 2015. And see, I've never been able to figure that out. Where has this savior thing come in at? Because we haven't heard anything about abuse. Well, I guess we have in these Facebook groups. That's the story they were putting out. Dee Dee was this evil person and blah blah blah. So never mind. I guess they just took it upon themselves because Nick never mentions abuse in his interrogation, and Gypsy never mentions abuse in her interrogation. So that's where I was like, well, where were they getting this from? Because they keep saying he was supposed to be her savior, her knight in shining armor. And I don't know how you can come to that conclusion when they never even talked about abuse, but it was in the Facebook groups. And so that's where this story originated from. So, okay, it makes sense to me now. That makes sense to me now because I was confused there for the longest time on why he was being called her savior when he never even mentioned it in his interrogation that Gypsy was being abused. And so this is another random comment that I clipped just so you guys could see what was being said by other people. It says, I've read suggestions that he was submissive to her in their DDLG role playing. So to me, it makes sense that what he said in his police question about he killed because Gypsy asked him to. I think he took the submissive role very seriously. Plus, even in the interview with the cab drivers, it said she was in control, which goes right along with that. The more I read, the less I feel her a victim or that she lacked intelligence, maybe lacked book smart, such as learning to read, write, etc. However, she wasn't dumb. And I agree with her. She wasn't dumb. She was far from it. And it's kind of interesting to see how it's two different people here with two different ways of thinking about the things that they've seen in these Facebook groups. And you can see that this, clip was June 18, 2015 at 7:56 is when she made the comment. And so it is interesting. And like here, this girl or whoever it was said that, she thought Nick was submissive. And it's funny because Bree, Gypsy's PR person for the longest time, was trying to convince us that Nick was the one in charge. He was the one making Gypsy do all this stuff. And I've never believed that story anyway. And then now that you see the videos that's come out that Gypsy and Nick were sending back and forth to one another, there is no evidence to support Bree's argument that Nick was the one that made Gypsy do and say all these things. It's quite obvious to me that Gypsy was the one that was in charge, not only in the relationship, but, she was the mastermind of the murder as well. And so, we've got a clip of Bree in one of her Discord calls saying, we could change Nick's videos. We could, and they would never know the difference and blah, 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 because they were trying to make them a little bit more edgier than what they were, because her argument's been all this time that Nick forced Gypsy to say and do the things that she did in the video. And they were quite vile and nasty, I have to say. And that's just not true. Nick wasn't the one. It was all Gypsy. Gypsy was in charge. And so this next clip that I'm going to show you is a comment that Claudia made, Dee Dee's sister, in the group. It was dated July 23rd, 2015. And she just, she's in the comment sections. I don't think she ever really posted herself, but she's in the comment sections on post. And so she's like, if we called and told her we were planning to go there, always an excuse, every time. And that was Thursday, July 23rd, 2015 at 4:31 p.m. And so this next clip is going to be of Claudia, and she made, again, the comment on July 23rd, 2015. She said she just wanted to be left alone. She did bad here too. It's not just there. And that was Thursday, July 23rd, 2015 at 4:41 p.m. And so here's a screenshot of Claudia being called out in the group. Whoever the person was said, Claudia Pitre Olivier, you're rambling and you're changing your stories big time. That was Thursday, July 23rd, 2015 at 4:42 p.m. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you bounce all over the place and you keep on going, from comment section to comment section or group to group or giving interviews, bouncing all over the place. You tend to change your story if you're not really completely telling the truth, See, Gypsy had that problem, and that's where we stand today. Because Gypsy, over the years, she's given all these interviews, and then when she got out of prison, she jumps on social media and she makes all these comments on Bree's lives. And unfortunately for Gypsy, when you get on the internet is forever. And so the minute that girl opens her mouth, you can best bet it is clipped. And so regardless if she deletes it or whatever, it's out there and it's going to be out there, because not only is it clipped by one person, I guarantee you multiple people clip it. And then once it gets put on the internet, it's all over the place. And there's just no way of really clearing it. And so, unfortunate for Gypsy's daughter, eventually she's going to see all of this, and there's not going to be any hiding her from it, unless Gypsy plans to do what she accused Dee Dee of, with her daughter. I mean, keeping her from everybody, trying to keep her from the World Wide Web and all that good jazz. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the future, and how Gypsy raises her child, to see if she tries to keep her home and sheltered, try to keep her, from keep finding out what she did to her mother did to her mother. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I mean, she's changed her stories, and unfortunately for her, I've got a memory of an elephant, and so I use her words against her. She gives one interview here, and then she gives another interview here, and she says something completely different. And then I've got a clip of her here saying something completely different. And it shouldn't be that way. When you recall a memory, you might change a little detail here or there, but overall the story should be the same, right? And it's not. And so here, Gypsy's aunt is being called out because she's changing her story. She's rambling. It's like she's trying her best to demonize Dee Dee, and the same thing with Bobby, as far as I'm concerned. And so this next clip is of Claudia making another comment. I guess my battery died. Says she never mentioned any of these things to me on the phone, so why would I go looking for something I never knew was there? Thursday, July 23rd, 2015 at 4:50 p.m. So here, the context for that is people are asking her, if you knew all this about your sister, why didn't you do something about it? Instead of waiting until something like this happens, and then you're jumping in these Facebook groups telling us all Dee Dee was a big meanie head. She was an evil person. I mean, if she was that evil, why the hell did y'all do anything about it, number one? And why in the hell did you let her leave the state of Louisiana with her daughter going to Missouri? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I mean, the accusations that's been made against this woman, these are major, major allegations. And I can best bet, I can tell you for a fact, had it been me and my family, and something like this was going on, and Dee Dee was accused of killing her own mom and trying to kill her stepmom, Dee Dee wouldn't have left the damn state of Louisiana, I promise you, if that would have been my sibling. Whether the police wanted to hold her or whether I held her, she wasn't going to leave the state of Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people, use your head sometimes with what people tell you. You've got people. Let's. I don't want to get too far into it because I've got other things to cover. Like I said, I mean, to me, the thing is that the information that I'm getting ready to provide, it kind of shows. I feel like the stories have been fed to Gypsy. These are where the stories are coming from, and so let's move on. This is a jailhouse call that I want to play for you guys. It's from Gypsy to her stepmom, Christy. I don't know when I made that bigger. I was trying to remove it. And so... What little bit through it?
Yeah. And I kind of took a moment meant to understand that I am a part of it, and even though I didn't mean to be, I know that I had taken a lot of medication, so I can't remember that clearly how things happened. And
right, I understand that.
all the things I said under that medication, and, it's stuff that I wouldn't normally say or do, and it's just a bad situation. And Mike came into the booth after y'all left, and he's like, it's okay, we have a plan, no matter, we had 2 plans for if you were involved and if you're not involved, and, it just happens to be the one where you're involved, and we have a defense for that, they're prepared for that.
Yeah,
And
we went there after and talked to him, and there is a plan in motion,
yeah.
I'm
hopeful, and I put my trust in him. I really, I had to kind of laugh when he's like, do you work for Facebook? Do you know how it works? That's funny.
yeah, but just know that we are still behind you 100%.
Thank you.
We're never going to turn our backs.
At this point, I honestly think that the worst of it has come out. If there's stuff on Facebook, it wouldn't be any worse than what has already been said in those texts.
Really, I think the same thing as you.
And I'm like, I think I was on Facebook while texting them that night, so it might, some things might be on Facebook, but it'll come out, and I'm like, and it can't be any worse than what was in those texts, so.
No.
Now, I wanted to pause that there real quick because at the beginning of this conversation with Christy, she's telling her, now, this was after Gypsy's preliminary hearing. And during the preliminary hearing, that's when the evidence comes out to show the judge that they have enough evidence to support the charge of first-degree murder and to help to keep, Gypsy held on that charge and to go forward, with trial for first-degree murder. And so that's what Gypsy's talking about here as far as the evidence that came out. But she was telling her at the beginning that she was on so much medication that she just didn't remember how things went down and what was said and what was done. But then she tells Christy, well, there's, no more, it shouldn't be any worse than what was in those text messages that you've seen today. And the text messages are the same text messages that were used during Nick's trial. And so it was like 430 pages of text messages, but it was only 2 weeks worth. And the text messages started, I believe they started I think it was May 26th or May 27th, 2015. And they led up to about 5 minutes before the murder took place on the early morning hours of June 10th. I believe the last text message that was sent was either at 2:07 or 2:10 in the morning on June 10th. And so, excuse me, so those are the text messages that Gypsy's talking about. And she's telling Christy that any other evidence that's going to come out shouldn't be any worse than those text messages. So my question to you, Gypsy, is if you were on all this medication and you just cannot remember for the life of you what happened, what was said, what you did, then how would you know that it shouldn't get any worse than what was presented at your preliminary hearing? And this is what I mean, because, when you're not telling the truth, you kind of tell on yourself with certain things that are said. And a lot of people, maybe most of the people, don't listen to exactly what you say, but I do. And when I say I see through you, that's what I mean. I see through you because I listen to what you say. I listen to every word that comes out of your mouth. And I watch every interview you do, and I listen to what you say. And I compare what you said in the past. And that's why if anybody in your camp was smart enough, they would tell you, stop. Don't give any more interviews. Stay off the internet. When it comes to your past, I wouldn't say anything else about it. Stop with the interviews. Stop with the lies. How about that? If you wanted just to lead a normal, regular life on the internet like other people do, that would probably be one thing. But the fact is, the only reason why you're known, Gypsy, is because of what you did. You killed your mom, and then you lied about it. And that's my problem with you. You lied about it, and you're continuing to lie about it. And as long as you lie about it, I'm going to expose you. I don't care if you have Morbid on your side, Bree on your side, Sheena on your side. I just don't care. You're a liar. And when you lie, I'm going to point it out. And so let's finish this conversation.
Oh, sweetie, I don't think you can. You know,
That picture was taken in October. So one of me dressed up like a comic book character. I'm like,
right.
that was so taken out of context
Yeah.
because I had pictures of.
So that was that as far as the call with Christy. And this next call is going to be with Dee Dee's sister, Claudia, and from Gypsy. And Gypsy is going to be discussing her defense with the aunt.
And they had showed the evidence, and the evidence was bad. It was in the form of text messages. Right. And so, anyway, now it's bound over for trial, so whenever you go to trial, and basically, what my lawyer is looking at is the charge of manslaughter, which that carries a penalty of 15 years maximum. But most likely I wouldn't get that much time because I didn't do the actual pill or anything. That I was just kind of aiding rather than being the one that did.
Exactly. But in there, who he's talking to, who's his fifth? Is his sister?
What's that?
He sent a text to his fifth. He said something about that. Is his sister he was talking to?
And it was like
his sister.
oh, what's that?
Fifth out of when he was talking about you.
Oh, okay. Because I know that he was talking to his ex-girlfriend and he was cheating on me, and that he was talking to his.
And so that was Claudia. And Gypsy was telling her what the defense was going to be. And you see what, she was telling her aunt about Nick. And so this next clip really bothered me. And it's really what kind of set the motion for me to want to make this video. And let me pause it real quick. It's the same phone call from Gypsy to Claudia. But this conversation right here, the sister's asking Gypsy what she wants to do with her mom.
You can tell me straight to your heart because right now, everything that's going on, we don't care what happens to your mama. That's how mad we are with that. It went so freaking crazy. Now, you want me to get the body or you don't want me to get the body. It don't make no difference.
I do.
You two, you understand, huh?
It's just.
Because they're gonna keep her there forever. You know the fact that she did you so much wrong, and everybody's like so bitter to that. And it's like, and then I don't know, I don't want to force this on you because if you really don't want it, because you were thinking about doing this, that's probably the last thing you want to do. You don't have to relive this all over again.
I know.
Because you made the life miserable. I think that's the only memory you would need to have.
I know. And it's like...
baby, you can't say you really loved her because you did in a way, but from a distance. Like you said, you was behind the glass.
Right.
But it's not going to hurt nobody's feelings if you want to just leave her where she's at. You don't try to good life over there because on the video she said she didn't want to be coming back to Louisiana.
I know she wants to get away from Louisiana, and I'm not really sure why.
Well, because she was that way. Everybody figured her out.
Because I'm like, I don't understand what was so bad about the family. I can understand.
I know.
How things got
different
tight.
all her life. They asked me, were you close to her? No. Were you close to her when she was a baby? No. Were you close to her when she was an adult? No. We didn't like her because she was so mean. She was different. She always wanted to be with Mumsy. Well, you know what? Now you're dead. You're dead. Where she's cremated, like I said, if she'll leave her there, we'll leave her there.
Well, I don't want to leave her there because for me, it's a different point of view to each person. And for me, yes, I did love my mom. And yes, I know that y'all weren't close as kids or anything. She was talking about how, you and Aunt Donna were more closer together. And she was kind of the one that felt like a third wheel. And, I know that she was different and didn't quite fit in. But it's like, she's still y'all's sister, and she's still my mom, and just honestly know that I was desperate. I was desperate to get away.
I believe you.
And
I do believe you.
It's like, I'm not a killer. I have never been a killer. I don't even hunt. Because I don't kill. I don't kill animals. I don't kill humans. But, it's the fact that someone...
Oh, yeah, they got those pictures. He was posing with some knives and all, like costume dress, whatever.
Costume.
They have that all over. Let me ask you something. I know, and you can tell.
And that was the end of that clip. And so I was just completely beside myself when I heard the sister talking like that. And it actually is the first time I've ever heard Gypsy sound a little down about her mom or the situation, because here you got Dee Dee's sister, I don't care about your sister. We can just leave her there. I wasn't close to her. She was a meanie head, blah, 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 and she just demeaning her and demonizing her and dehumanizing her to Gypsy. And Gypsy's the one that says, she was still my mom and I loved her, and she is y'all's sister. I don't want to just leave her there. And that's the first time I've ever really heard Gypsy express any kind of a little bit of emotion there about her mama. I mean, it was very faint, but it was there when she said, that was my mama and I did love her, and that was your sister, and I don't want to leave her there. But you got the sister, Dee Dee's sister. Nah, we just leave her there. It don't matter to us. We don't want her. She didn't want to come back to Louisiana, so just leave her there. And so this next clip that I want to show you is a clip I put together of Dee Dee and Claudia's Facebook messages that were back and forth April 15th, 2013. And so the Facebook messages and jail phone calls, they're courtesy of Into the Weeds. And so you can see here, it says the recipient is Claudia Pitre Olivier, and it's from Snow Gypsy Blanchard, and it's 4/15/2013 at 20:03:07. And so this was like military time. And Dee Dee is messaging her sister Claudia, and she says, place one arm around your left shoulder and the other around your right. Now squeeze gently. I love you, and I'm always here for you. And this kind of hit me hard because you got her, you got the sister, you just heard the sister, how vile she was towards Dee Dee. And then you read this, place one arm around your left shoulder, the other around your right. Now squeeze gently. I love you, and I'm always here for you. And then the response back to Dee Dee was LOL. And so here, Claudia was going through some issues at this time. And there's a lot of messages there. I mean, I could have put all the messages out, but I didn't want to do that to this lady. I don't want to put her personal business out there, even though these messages became public record when Gypsy killed her mother. So this is Gypsy's fault. These messages are out. But she was going through some personal issues. And she was talking back and forth to Dee Dee about it on these Facebook messages. And this is Dee Dee telling Claudia, on April 15th, 2013, you can always come here. And Claudia responds back, it's out of control here, meaning in Louisiana. And so Claudia responds back to Dee Dee, wow, sounds nice. Maybe me and Du can plan a vacation. And then she says, it don't stop. It says, I could bend over and let the world kick my butt. This is Claudia to Dee Dee. And this is still Claudia to Dee Dee. I was so close April 1st, I would have been divorced. And then Dee Dee to Claudia, great, it's very peaceful here. You need to come. And she's referring to the comment where she's talking about maybe, the sister could plan a vacation. And so Dee Dee was responding to that comment. And then she says, Dee Dee, this is Dee Dee to Claudia. I remember when Rod did that to me. I fell for it too. Glad I came to my senses and know I can make it on my own. And Claudia to Dee Dee, it's crazy. Trust me. And then Claudia to Dee Dee again. Me too, but that's why I need to leave from here and change my number. And then Dee Dee to Claudia says, sweetie, it's called alimony. The judge will make him get a job and get that pressure off you. And he needs to get off his butt and get one. And so here we got Dee Dee responding back to Claudia. It says, love you, sister. And Claudia responds back, always, you too, blood is thicker than H2O. And so I don't know these people at all. But to listen to Dee Dee's sister say that about Dee Dee and then read these Facebook messages between them, Dee Dee seemed caring towards her sister. It seemed her sister was going through a lot at the time, and Dee Dee was literally offering for her sister to come live with her or to stay with her so Claudia could get away from Louisiana. There were more messages, like I said, but I'm not trying to put this woman's business out there. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to embarrass her. I'm just trying to understand what the hell, I just don't understand. Dee Dee seemed like she was all about her family. And her family just left her out to dry, and it seems obvious to me that I think Gypsy was feeding off of the family's hate for their sister and relative. I mean, she said she's already admitted that she doesn't know if her memories are true or not because she's been told conflicting things. That tells you right there all you need to know. That statement that she made about this is my memory and my memory alone, and whether it's true or not, I don't know because I've been told conflicting things. She's being told what to say and how to feel and how she lived. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. And so, here's this screenshot. Blood was thicker than H2O. But when Dee Dee was brutally murdered, she was a monster. No questions asked. And so here's a screenshot of random comments in the Facebook discussion group dated August 27, 2015. And so Christy was in the group trying to make excuses for Gypsy and doing damage control early on, and people were not having it. And here there are a couple people telling Christy about herself. And so you can see it's August 27, 2015, and it says basically what we have here is a lady who married a guy who put in zero effort to be part of his daughter's life. Daughter kills mother. Lady goes on social media and says they knew something was up, that Dee Dee was making Gypsy sick and knew she could walk. Now the lady is denying saying that, even though someone posted screenshots. She's all over social media pretending like she gives a fuck about Gypsy so she can be part of this story. Admits they never took legal steps to see Gypsy. How the fuck can anyone defend this lady? Then we have a defender here. Says, what can you judge the family? So isn't judging you okay too? I mean, isn't this what it's all about? You don't like us sticking up or showing support for the family, or heaven forbid we show support for Gypsy. I would like to know, I don't know who, well, I know who that person is. I don't know personally, but obviously I was the one that blocked out their name and their profile picture. But I would love to know what their feelings are now about Gypsy and how things are being played out. And so then down below it says, don't tell us not to judge because we don't know their situation. No, excuse me, don't tell us not to judge because we don't know their situation. We do know their situation, and we know it because she has a big fucking mouth. And so, like I said, they're talking about Christy here. And Christy was all over the place. She's all over the media. And even in Gypsy's prison emails, she calls Christy a media whore. Gypsy stops talking to Christy because Christy won't stay out of the media. And she literally calls Christy a media whore in her prison emails. And so my opinion on people, golly, I always do that. I'm trying to remove it from my stage, and instead I always make it bigger, and it never fails. But my opinion on people that supposedly witnessed all this evil and never said anything about it, just sat by and let it happen, are bandwagon moralists. And so, I was just kind of joking with ChatGPT, and I said, ChatGPT, what's your, opinion on this? And it says the term that fits your exact scenario: when people stay silent during real harm but suddenly speak up once the spotlight appears. The most precise phrase is performative allyship. Speaking out for show, not out for integrity. It directly calls out the hypocrisy. They weren't protecting the victim, they were protecting their image. And like I said, I've always had a problem with the family running the Mommy Dead and Dearest and Gypsy's Revenge and all this, and saying all these crazy ass stories about Dee Dee, and they make them, to me, they make these stories make them look foolish, because these are, like I said, some serious and major allegations that they make against Dee Dee, and they just let it go. So that this woman was killing your mom and you just let it happen, or that this woman's poisoning your stepmom or whatever, so you're just going to let it happen. I mean, give me a freaking break. Okay? I'm going to just be honest with you guys. I grew up in a domestic violence household, okay? I watched my father beat my mom till, I was 19 years old. And when I was 12 years old, I backed that man off of her with a baseball bat. And I said, you need to leave her alone. Of course, at 12 years old, he's not going to be scared of me. But as I got older, I think that changed a little bit. And when I was 19, I watched that man grab my mom by the back of the hair and yank her to the floor. And he proceeded to climb on top of her. And I grabbed a butcher knife and I told him, I said, if you put one more hand on you, I'm going to put you in your grave. And I meant every word of it. And he knew I meant every word of it. I lost my mom a week after my 24th birthday. And I had 3 brothers. I had 2 of my brothers in my ear telling me my father did something to her. And at the time, I worked at a law office. And I went to my office manager and I said, look, I need to have my mom exhumed. What do I need to do? And so she told me the steps I needed to take to have my mom exhumed. Well, one of my brothers was a holdout, because he knew damn well, had it come back that something happened to my mom and my father did it, folks, I would not be sitting here making videos for you, because I would be in prison, and I'd expect to be in prison because I would have put that man in his grave. You don't take the most important person from me and not expect something to happen back to you. Because my mom was my best friend. She was my number one confidant. And my dad, he knew where he stood with me. And he also knew that had I found out he did anything to her, that man, he would have been my stepmom would have been a widow before they could ever got started. And so that's why none of this shit makes sense to me. You sit there and you make these evil allegations against this woman. I mean, these are major allegations that they're making. And they just sat by and let it happen. It doesn't make sense. See, here we go. I did it again. I'm trying to remove it from the stage, and I always make it bigger. I don't even, okay, there it is. And so what it boils down to me, I understand that Katrina hit and they evacuated from there and they moved on. But, if these major allegations were being made, I damn sure, would have done something to get Gypsy out of her care. And I surely wouldn't have let Gypsy leave Missouri or Louisiana with her going to Missouri if this was an evil woman, And as far as these documentaries are concerned, it all boils down to them. I always thought that they were just trying to protect Gypsy, and I still think that, I think that's what this is all about. They were trying to protect her, but these are their stories, and Gypsy's feeding off of them, and that's just how I believe it. I really firmly believe that. And so here's a screenshot when people were telling the family to leave the group if they didn't like seeing the negative stuff that was being posted in this Facebook group. And that always happens. Like I said, these family and friends, they flock to these groups to try to support their loved one or just to see what's being said about the case. And they don't like what's being said, so they try to run the group and run what's being said, run what you can say. And so these people were telling them, it says, no one's talking about this case on Facebook except for these groups. So it's easy. Don't want to see negative things about your family? Stay out of the groups. It says, don't freaking delete this. I can't read it until after work. LMAO. I don't understand why this is a hard concept. Go private, simple. And then I can't even see what that says. I guess it's just they're slamming their head into the table or something. And it says, then only your friends can contact you. And that was August 27, 2015. So I'm not quite sure who was having an issue here, but one of the family members was having an issue of something that was being said in the group or something they saw. And so they thought that they could come in and say, look, you can't be posting this stuff. Or, would you stop talking about this? No, it's a case discussion group. I mean, I've had that happen to me in other groups. It's like, this is a case discussion group. What the hell are you in it for if you don't want to discuss the case? Move the hell on. I mean, it's that simple. People make things so hard on the internet, and I don't know why. It doesn't have to be that hard, right? It really doesn't. And so this next screenshot is a post dated November 10th, 2015 regarding an article that the person read. It says, there was a very interesting article this morning from the news leader. However, I can't figure out how to post it here. So, Stanfield said he is still sorting through 75 discs of photo and video evidence and thousands of pages of social media posts that prosecutors have said they intend to use as evidence against the pair at trial. Side note, I think it's funny, the 75 disc of photo evidence and the thousands of pages of social media posts. Guess what, folks? We've already got that. I've got the videos on my YouTube channel, and some of them are on my TikTok. And then Into the Weeds has all the thousands of pages of social media posts and such. And so guess what, though? The prosecutors never read a damn page of it before offering Gypsy her plea deal. I promise you that. Because had they read what we all see now, there's no damn way that girl would have got a plea deal. I firmly believe had they done their due diligence and done their job, she'd still be sitting in prison. But you know what? They got a confession from Nick, so they were a little lazy. And that's the bottom line. And that's why the girl got the plea deal. It says a lot of times there may not necessarily be a lot of important information, but you have to sit down and watch every single bit of it to make sure you don't miss any of it, Stanfield said. That is why it's so time consuming. Stanfield said at a previous court appearance that Dee Dee Blanchard had set up some blocks that prevented her daughter from viewing her own medical records. Stanfield said Monday he has still not obtained those records. We're still attempting to obtain all of those medical records, Stanfield said. The durable powers of attorney that her mother had executed prevented Gypsy from even requesting her own medical records. They prevented her from speaking with doctors on her own. They required her mother to basically do everything as far as her medical care. We figured out a way to get those revoked, and hopefully we will have those medical records fairly soon. And so this doesn't really make sense to me about the medical records. So how could Gypsy's own medical records be withheld from her? I mean, Dee Dee was dead, and it was obvious that Gypsy was competent, and they were her medical records. I'm thinking this is more like a stall tactic, against the state than anything, because it just doesn't make sense. Obviously there was some kind of a con or something going on. I mean, it was being figured out at this point. And so you would think that with Dee Dee being dead, even if there were power of attorneys in place, I don't know if there were or weren't, but if there were, you would think that they would be null and void if she was dead. And then, Gypsy being competent and all, and being able to take care of her own damn self, you would think that, it would just it would be done. She would have access to her records. But I mean, I don't know. But I think it's my opinion that was a stall tactic against the state. And so this next clip that I want to play for you is actually of Claude and Laura's interview with Mommy, Dead, and Dearest. And I was really heartbroken because this is the clip where Claude says, that they flushed Dee Dee's ashes down the toilet. And so let's listen to this clip.
What was Dee Dee like as a child?
You what, baby?
What was Dee Dee like as a child?
What was Dee Dee like?
Dee Dee? She was okay. We were pretty close, me and her. Yeah, I'd give her everything that she wanted anyway, whatever she wanted, and except a dog in the house. I didn't want that. Now we wind up, we got 2 dogs in the house. But she was something else.
She was a very filthy person. If it didn't go her way, she'd see to it that you would pay. And did we pay? Paid a lot. The minute she'd set foot on the bar, the law would have arrested her.
Yeah, she
She
was
had
wanted.
made bad checks in Slidell,
Slidell, she was wanted.
bad checks in New Orleans.
Wherever she went, she was doing all kind of stuff.
She was putting some poison in my food, the same thing she had put in the plant.
And she wound up, she stayed 9 months in bed. After that, she couldn't get up. I didn't think she was going to make it.
There was nothing she couldn't get away with. Her mom was a little bit like her.
Yeah, her mama too. Her mama was a shoplifter and all kind of stuff. I don't know how many times she had to go to court for shoplifting and all that
She'd
stuff.
go to the washateria, she'd steal the people's clothes. She had stolen how much money from your daddy?
Oh, when we first got married, she had stole, I think it's $3,000 or $4,000 from my daddy.
To leave your mama dirty and asking for food and not want to feed her.
Yeah.
That's evil.
Were you sad at all when you heard she was dead?
Me? I didn't believe it.
It didn't.
It just didn't sink. It took a few days before, I didn't believe that she was dead. I thought it was another one of her tricks.
Do you think she got what she deserved?
According to
Yes.
the Gypsy, yes.
Yeah, she got what she deserved.
And all the brothers and sisters don't care about Dee Dee no more. Gypsy, she got cremated. She said, "What you want me to do with the ashes?" Everybody said, "I don't want her. I don't
Darla
want
said
her."
flush 'em.
I told her, "Flush that in the toilet." They want,
Her sister said, flush that in the toilet.
She said, we're going to bring that in Mama's room, make her a mask and everything. I said, you gonna pay for it? I'm not paying for it. You going to get that? They said, we can't afford it. I said, flush it in the toilet.
And so that right there, what the father said, it's always been disgusting to me. I thought that it was just a terrible thing to say about your own daughter, especially since he just got finished saying that Dee Dee and him were close. And then now he's saying that, he flushed her down the toilet. I mean, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth there, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, and then to sit there and let your wife talk bad about your daughter. I mean, it was obvious there was no love lost between Laura and Dee Dee, But this woman was just vile towards Dee Dee. And I mean, you heard the producer ask her, did you even feel sad about finding out Dee Dee was murdered? And she was like, oh, I didn't think it was true. I mean, I thought it was one of her tricks, I mean, this woman had, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. This woman had nothing nice to say about Dee Dee. And, as far as the poison is concerned, like I said, if this woman was poisoned by Roundup, she wouldn't have been sitting there giving that interview. I mean, she died after Dee Dee did. And so I can't with some of these stories and some of these people that believe these stories. It just goes right through me. And so this is a clip that I put together of a message that I sent to both sisters because I was really heartbroken to think Dee Dee had been flushed. We'd all been led to believe that it was just a joke. It was a bad joke the father made and this, that, and the other. And I was told, it's Lifetime, or, not Lifetime, but it was HBO and, any of those shows, they're all heavily edited and blah, blah, blah. And, so I was like, okay, it was just a bad joke. No, it wasn't a joke. We heard what the sister said in the jailhouse called a gypsy. And just leave your mom there. None of us want her. None of us care about her. None of us like her. She was a big meanie head and blah, blah, blah. And just nothing nice to say. And so this is a message I sent to both sisters. I said, hi, Miss Pitre. You don't know me, and I'm not affiliated with any type of news or media. My name is Carolina Girl. I will be flat out honest with you. I'm in a group that is against Gypsy being free. I'm not here to cause trouble. I have one question that I was hoping you could answer for me. This will be the only attempt I make unless you happen to respond, which if she responded, I was just going to simply say thank you, which is what happened. Said, your father made a statement that Dee Dee's remains were flushed, but it has been said that you have your sister's remains. Could you clear this little rumor up for me? I actually advocate for Dee Dee. I didn't know her, but I do feel like her punishment did not fit the crime. And please note that this message was sent April 30th, 2024. I didn't start making content until August of 2025. So it was over a year before I ever made my first video on this case. I reached out to the sisters because it really did bother me about hearing what Claude said about flushing the ashes down the toilet. And so I said, I feel like that her punishment didn't fit the crime. I feel like the only story we have is Gypsy's. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe her. I feel like your sister should have gotten her day in court to be able to admit or deny the accusations made against her by Gypsy. I truly believe Gypsy villainized her mother to keep from getting life in prison. I may be wrong, but this is and has been my argument since day one. I feel like your sister is no longer with us, not because of abuse, but because Gypsy wanted to be sexually active and wanted, I don't know what else to say. It said, anyway, my heart goes out to you. I am sorry for your loss of your sister. I hope you do answer my question because it's always bothered me. If you don't, I understand. Holding you in my heart, thoughts and prayers as Gypsy plays out in the media and stirring us all up again. Sincerely, Carolina Girl. And then the sister responded back. Dorla responded back to me June 23rd, 24 at 12:44 p.m. and said, my sister's ashes are safe and sound. And I simply responded back. I said, thank you for your response, ma'am. I just want you to know that I have tried to give your sister a voice. She's been in my heart, and my heart, thoughts, and prayers are with you. Again, thank you for your response, and that makes me feel so much better for Dee Dee. And that was it. And so when I say I do care about this, and I care about being a voice for Dee Dee, I'm being honest with you guys. I am, I want to be a voice for Dee Dee. Dee Dee's not here to defend herself. Dee Dee didn't have anybody to defend her. All we have is Gypsy. Gypsy was allowed to say whatever the hell she wanted to say about Dee Dee, and she did. And she put this narrative out there, and she painted this picture of Dee Dee, and now she's got people thinking that Dee Dee's not even a human being, that she's dehumanized her all these years. And with the evidence and the facts that's come out about this case, her narrative is not true. She's a liar, and we can prove she's lying. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so however long it takes me to put this information out on my channel, that's, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it out there until I don't have any more to put out there, because I want it to be at people's fingertips so they can see that this girl is a liar. Point blank and simple. That's all. That's my sole purpose here. I'm not trying to promise you guys anything. I'm not asking for money. I'm not taking your money. I just want to put the truth out. That's all I want. And if I have your support, I greatly appreciate it. I really do. Because without you guys, I've said it before and I say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it, without you, I'm nothing. I can't get the truth out there. And so for the ones that support me, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And so this next clip is going to be of Christy stating on Mommy, Mommy, Dad, and Dearest that Dee Dee starved her mother to death. And Dee Dee's stepmom also makes that same accusation. And this aggravates me so bad because Dee Dee wasn't the only person around, for starters, and it takes some time to starve someone to death.
That her mom died. Dee Dee was in the house somewhere, and Dee Dee was starving her. Like Dee Dee wasn't giving her anything to eat. I asked her sister, I was like, I hate to ask this, but you think Dee Dee had anything to do with her mom's death? And she, said, now I wonder. That's how evil she was.
Christy makes me so mad. As far as I'm concerned, Christy was the evil one. I mean, it's not rocket scientist that there's no love lost between Dee Dee and Christy. Dee Dee, from what I can see with the messages that's been put out as far as the Facebook messages and stuff, Dee Dee has always been cordial and respectful to Christy. And, like I said, there's so much there. I mean, there was 23,000 pages for just Gypsy's Facebook page or records or whatever. It's 23,000 pages. And so there's a lot to go through. But from the stuff that I have read, I haven't seen where Dee Dee was ever out of the way with Christy. But anytime you ever hear Christy open her mouth, she always, villainizes Dee Dee. She doesn't have anything good to say. And it's just a bold-faced lie. And she made this bold-faced lie on national television. And I'm going to say, Becca Scoops over on her channel, in one of her videos, she debunked this because Dee Dee wasn't even around when her mom died. She was at some camp with Gypsy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it right off the top of my head. Like I said, Becca put it in one of her videos, but Dee Dee was not at the house when her mother died. She was at some kind of a camp. And so then I also have a copy of Dee Dee's mom's death certificate. But, it takes a long time to starve somebody to death, okay? It really does. And, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't take just a couple days. I mean, it's a process. And so, like I said, she wasn't home when her mom died. But this is her death certificate, Emma Louise's death certificate. And you can see that she died June 9th, 1997. And the main cause of death was sudden cardiac death, which means she had a freaking heart attack. The underlying conditions to her death were cardiomyopathy and coronary artery disease. This is all heart-related stuff, all heart-related. And then down there at the bottom where you see the check mark, it says like it's like the fourth box, and it's down there at the bottom. And you do see she was diabetic, and I can't see what that one word is, but it was renal insufficiency. But the main cause of death was heart-related. It was a heart attack. She had cardiomyopathy, and it was coronary artery disease. Had nothing to do with being starved to death. And, there were other people in that household, too, as well. And so, if Dee Dee was really trying to starve her mom to death and nobody else stepped up to the plate, I hold those other people accountable as well, because there were other people in that damn house. And it just irks me because people don't, they don't, like, I can't believe that this story has been just passed out for all these years and people believe it. It's like, come on now. And so here's a clip of Bobby Pitre's interview from Mommy, Dead, and Dearest. Now, keep in mind that in the other interview, he said that he hadn't seen Gypsy since like she was 7 or 8. And again, he's 15 years older than Gypsy is, okay?
Dee Dee was my aunt, real weird girl. I would think she's bipolar, no doubt. Multiple personalities, perhaps. Definitely an evil person, I would say, To shave your kid's head and say that she's got leukemia, you're a sick individual. All kind of did. See how Gypsy was being treated by Dee Dee. Not that it was like horrible, beating the shit out of her in the back room with a freaking cable, She was just, she put her in a wheelchair and told her, oh, your leg's messed up. You can't walk.
Let me pause it right there real quick because I need to bring this up. I want to bring this clip up real quick.
For me for so long, but it's not just you that I'm keeping it a secret from. It's sort of like everybody who knows me. I don't even know how I got started. When I was 6 years old, I went into the hospital for like 6 months, and the doctors told me that I had a seizure in surgery, and I wouldn't be able to walk, that I was paralyzed permanently. And that part, like the part that I had a seizure, was true. In surgery, I had the seizure and I was paralyzed, but what they didn't know is that it was temporary paralysis and not permanent. And by the time I started to get my feeling back in my legs, and I hadn't tried to walk then, but I was too young and I just kept it to myself. And throughout the years, I tried to tell my mom a few times, and I guess I was just afraid of her not loving me as much as she does if I couldn't walk. I didn't want to make her sad or lose any love from her. I guess that's the reason why I kept it a secret from her. And so I just kept it to myself for a long time until 2011, whenever I sort of started rebelling as a teenager and ran away from home. Literally ran away from home, and stumbled. Before I ran away, I started trying to walk as much as I could. And I just got enough strength to be able to leave home. And so Mom's kind of in denial in a way. I don't really know, because I guess it would be too hard to explain to all our friends and everything. And the one thing I never want to feel is like a liar. And believe me, I would like for people to know the truth, but being as it is, I would lose a lot of friends, I think. And I just don't want anybody to hate me. And they would. And so you're the only person that knows besides me and that one other guy, which he's not in my life anymore, so, and we're not even friends anymore, so he doesn't count.
And so here, Gypsy is telling Nick in a private video that she sent to him a year before her mother was murdered that it was her keeping herself in the wheelchair, that Dee Dee did not know Gypsy could walk. Now, this is Gypsy's words to Nick. They're not my words. They're not Bobby Pitre's words. They're not Claude Pitre's words. They're not Bree's words. They're not Sheena's words. These are Gypsy's words to Nick in a private video message that she sent to him, telling him that she could walk, that she was the cause of being in the wheelchair. She kept herself in that wheelchair. She refused to tell her mother, and the reason why is she didn't want to lose any friends. She didn't want to look like a liar, and people would hate her, and she didn't want that. That's what we just heard, folks. So let's go back to Bobby Pitre's interview. Let's finish his interview over there. Let me get her off my stage, though, real quick.
Stepmother. Supposedly she was giving her some Roundup and her food and stuff. She opened up credit cards with my dad's name, my grandpa's name, ran up crazy bills.
I wanted to pause that real quick, too. Did you notice that he said she was poisoning my stepmother? Well, the only one that I know that Dee Dee was supposedly poisoning was Laura. And Laura was her stepmother, Dee Dee's stepmother. So how could Laura be Bobby's stepmother if that's his, if Dee Dee's his aunt? And so there has been rumor that Claude, Dee Dee's father, is actually Bobby Pitre's father. And that's why Laura Pitre would be his stepmom. And here he clearly says that Dee Dee was poisoning his stepmom with Roundup. And I just wanted to point that out.
Supposedly, America's Most Wanted was looking for this girl. I was like, who did Dee Dee piss off now? You know, what kind of shit did Dee Dee get into? I wasn't thinking, oh my God, my aunt's dead. Because I figured that one day she pissed off somebody to that point, you know? And I actually did think that it'd probably be Gypsy, you know? And whenever we later got the word that Gypsy was fine and she was by her boyfriend's house, we were like, she killed her mom. She finally did it. She couldn't take it anymore, you know? She finally just said, fuck it all. I'm killing this bitch.
He's so classy. I mean, you're so classy. On national television, and that's how you want to present yourself. I don't get it, you know. I mean, there was other ways to try to get your point across without just being just so nasty and vile. But maybe these people told him, said, you know, we need you to be as nasty as you can be, you know, to make this woman look bad, or I don't know. But you know, he's never really impressed me. He's just never impressed me. And so this next clip is of random people going back and forth in the group dated July 16, 2016. And this is going to be courtesy of Miss Jameson. If I can find it right here. And so this is July 16, 2016. It says all she had to do while at a public event, which there were many, was stand up and announce, "I'm not disabled." And somebody said, "I'm going to need you to look up Stockholm Syndrome, okay?" And it says, "Know all about it, thanks. Look up fraud for me. Stockholm Syndrome." And then they posted the picture of Harley Quinn. Gypsy is Harley Quinn licking the knife. And then it says, you don't get it, shaking my head. The pic of her was to prove what? Yes, she was a twisted little individual. I wonder why. You following yet? Now, to the person that believes that Gypsy had Stockholm Syndrome, and that's going so hard in this clip or whatever, if you're out there and this is you and you recognize it, do you still feel the same way? Leave me a comment in my comment section if you happen to see this. So let me know, do you still defend Gypsy? Do you still think she had Stockholm Syndrome? I mean, that's if you've seen all the information that we've seen so far. If you're on the same playing field that we've all, because all this information's come out. And I know all these content creators work really hard trying to put certain information out and different things, and I know that the information flooded these Facebook groups when it was first put out. So let me know if you still think Gypsy had Stockholm Syndrome. And so yeah, if the person that believes Gypsy had Stockholm Syndrome, if they're still out there and you see this, like I said, just touch base with me. Let me know if you're still on that side or if you saw the evidence and changed your mind. And so this next clip that I want to share with you, I put together, I feel like shows what Bobby did with his money from like maybe Mommy, Dead, and Dearest and all these interviews that he ran around giving and, jumping in with both feet, being, I guess, like the unofficial spokesperson for the family per se. And so I thought this was actually pretty cool, to be honest with you, because this is Bobby building his tattoo parlor, and so I think it's pretty cool with the fact that he had his own hands in it and he actually literally built it from the ground up. And so we're going to watch this. Actually, let me do this. Okay, so it says, finally, a one-piece unit. The inside support posts are welded in and 40-foot of 4 by a quarter flat bar is welded solid to join the two boxes on the roof. Now for the door and window cutouts. What in the world? Tattoo coming soon. And so this is December 2nd, 2016. Slow but sure. Sailor Bob's tattoo is taking shape. And mind you, he gave his Mommy, Dead, and Dearest interview sometime. It would have been sometime in 2016. It would have been before July 2016, because Gypsy gave her interview July 5th, 2016, and she was the last one to give her interview before to finalize the Mommy, Dead, and Dearest documentary. And so she gave her interview July 5th, 2016. And the reason why I know it was July 5th is because that's the same day she accepted her plea deal. And so as soon as she got done with that, she was whisked over to give her interview. But everybody else that gave an interview in Mommy, Dead, and Dearest gave it before Gypsy. And so he would have given his interview before July 5th, 2016. And so I believe that this, the money that he received from Mommy, Dead, and Dearest, helped contribute to this tattoo parlor. Now this is pretty cool. This is a time lapse that they did. It's December 26, 2016. Now it's kind of like it's their video that's kind of buffering or doing whatever, but that's their video. And so this is February 16th, 2017. It said installed the windows and front door. Up next, Cypress handrails. And then this is February 19th. We just about clean out of Cypress. The remaining pieces will be interior. Said free piling top parking lot border. Thanks to Donald Cooper at Cooper Construction. Said finally got around to my last floors. Old school tattoo flash inspiration. May 1st, 2017. Says put some shine to the floor today. One step closer to stress free. May 14th, 2017. Says progress report on the new parlor today. Sailor Bob's opening soon. Don't ask when. And that's June 19th, 2017. And this was August 16th, 2017. An outside picture. And this was the final post on October 22nd, 2017. It says this Friday, the 27th, is our grand opening. We're having a boucherie and all are welcome. It's all day long, so come pass a good time. Live music by Dirty Water starts at 4 p.m. And that is a current inside 2025, current shot of what 2025 the tattoo shop looks like. And so, I have to hand it to him. He put his money to good use, but, make sure you give a shout out to Dee Dee, because she contributed to that shop. And so, shout out to Dee Dee and good job, with what you did with your shop, man. I can't knock you for that. And I definitely can't knock you for building it up from the ground, yourself. So, I thought that was pretty awesome. And so this next screenshot that I want to share with you is dated November 3rd, 2016. And it is from Fancy, from the Good Wives Network. And I'm sure if you've been around long enough, you know who Fancy is. And so this was posted back in the day in this group, okay? And this is back when Fancy actually was still working with Gypsy and the Blanchards. And so this is November 3rd, 2016. She says, it's no different than any other offender being released. They get out and they choose whether to offend again or not. And monitoring does occur, so I'm not sure how you don't know that. She's not just free to go or do what she pleases. She will get out on parole and will have a parole officer. She will have to go to group, hold a job, etc. for a period of time. Her family is very supportive, as well as her friends, etc. She will not just be out there wandering the earth alone. It frustrates me that most of you think that she will just go out on to be like her mother just because she was taught to be that way. She did not know what she was doing when she was 5, 10, etc. Maybe later on she became more understanding, but her mental capacity for understanding things was seriously compromised. The psychologist in the documentary said that she will get help to understand. She even took responsibility for her actions. I think with love and support, she will be okay, and I wish her the best in life. I'm just heartbroken by how many of you judge her and say things about her and really have no capacity for understanding what she has and will endure. Her life is never going to be easy or normal. And I find this kind of interesting considering some of the damn stories and conspiracy theories Fancy's come up with since then. I mean, some of the conspiracy theories she's come up with about the murder itself is just off the wall. It's just really off the wall. And so it's just really interesting to see this and then to know her now, and it's so funny. It really is, because of the fact that the psychologist in the documentary, she has to be talking about Mommy, Dead, and Dearest. And the only one that I can remember that made an appearance in Mommy, Dead, and Dearest was Mark Feldman, Dr. Mark Feldman. And that man's a joke. Okay. I mean, he probably knows more about Munchausen's than I do, but as far as Gypsy's concerned, that man's a joke because he's a self-admitted. He said he never ever met Gypsy. He never spoke with Gypsy. He never spoke with anybody in her family. He never spoke with friends. All he did was, the minute he heard about this case, is he jumped online, just like the rest of us did, and jumped on Google and started Googling this case. And then he made his determination from Google that she was a severe case of Munchausen by proxy. Please. And I believe it was a newspaper article in 2024 where he admitted that he had never spoke to her, never reviewed her medical records, never spoke to anybody related to her. He obviously didn't meet Dee Dee. And so where was this man? Where did he get his opinion from? Except for, mainstream media and Gypsy's mouth. So that psychologist and Mommy, Dad, and Dearest, he's a joke. And so this next thing that I want to share with you is a post that Claudia made about the documentary Mommy, Dad, and Dearest. And this was dated March 16th, 2017. And she said, well, no, there's no good words, but a sick feeling deep inside. Like I sit here and wait to be excited like everyone else to see this creepy documentary. But at the same time, I'm very sad because it's about my little sister and my godchild. And I keep thinking, God help us all. My little sister was a mastermind monster. Yes, it still hurts and we are still paying. Here, I've learned so much about my past in this past year, about my sister and my mom. It was my mom's birthday yesterday, and I could not find it in my heart to send her a heavenly birthday wish. My feelings are so torn here. I hope we're not judged for their actions. And the thing I have a problem with here is the fact she says that, yes, it still hurts and we're still paying. And I've learned so much about my past in this past year and about my sister and my mom. What? What? What do you mean you've learned so much about your past? I mean, Dee Dee is older than I am. And so she was the baby of her family. So I know, I'm not sure how old Miss Claudia is here, but she's older than I am. And I'm trying to figure out what she is talking about. When she says she just learned so much about her past and about her mom and about her sister. I don't understand. What are you talking about? You sound like Gypsy. Gypsy has to be told about her past. So she, that's where her memories come from, is what other people are telling her. And then this lady is talking about, I just learned so much about my past. I couldn't even wish my mom a heavenly birthday yesterday. What? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Either these people are trying so damn hard to villainize Dee Dee and make her into this damn monster because they don't make sense with their words and what they say. Am I the only one that makes, that sees this, or do you guys see it, or what? I mean, am I being too hard on her, or, because I'm not one for a bunch of BS, okay? I'm just not. And this all just seemed like BS to me. And that's why I said I've always side-eyed the family. I've always side-eyed Bobby Pitre because, they come out with these crazy-ass stories about Dee Dee and how she was just this evil woman. And they all sat by and watched this take place like they were, did y'all have popcorn? Did y'all sit there and watch it like it was a circus or something? None of them done shit about it. But they didn't have no problem come running out of the woodwork as soon as this woman was brutally murdered. And then they just wanted to stomp her into the, what was left of her, they just wanted to stomp into the ground. And so that's what I have a problem with, because these people come out of the woodwork and they keep on giving these damn interviews, and the stories get worse and more severe and just harsh. And they sound like fools to me. And so, am I being too harsh? Do you agree? Where do you guys stand with it? And so here, Claudia made a post showing the front page of her local newspaper, and this was dated May 13th, 2017. And she said, when you get the Sunday paper early and wow, see my dead sister on the front page and my godchild. The story will air on HBO Monday night at 9 p.m. In case and one don't get the paper, geez, enough already. Missing you, my little sister. And so this is advertising Mommy Dead and Dearest. Mommy Dead and Dearest is getting ready to premiere. I believe it premiered on the 17th, May 17th, 2017. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure, or it might have been the 16th. I can't remember right offhand, but it was one of those 16th or the 17th of May. And so anyway, Claudia made a post after watching Mommy Dead and Dearest, and this was dated May 16th. So she must have watched it on May 16th. It says, good night, Facebook. This was hard to watch, but only God knows. I wish I could turn back the clock, but the damage is done. It's almost 2 years next month. I think of my sister often. I pray my godchild is getting the right help in there. I'm just so speechless. Good night. And so that's what she had to say about Mommy Dead and Dearest. And so this next screenshot is of Dorla Pitre, and it's dated October 9th, 2018. She posted a post on E! News. And she says, I think they should just let my sister's soul rest in peace. The movie they make will be all fictional because it only came out from one of the two people it was made about. It will be done on all hearsay. Gypsy is a cold-blooded killer. People should stop praising her for that. And I agree with you, Miss Pitre. I agree with you. I don't think she should be on the internet. I think she should still be in prison. But, that ship has sailed. That's not going to happen. She's not going to go back to prison for this case anyway. And so, I never expected that. I already knew that she wasn't going to go back to prison unless she violated parole. And so that wasn't the thing for me. The thing is to try to correct the narrative for your sister, because everybody wanted to villainize and dehumanize your sister. She was brutally murdered, and all this shit that everybody wanted to come out with doesn't justify that. The stuff that your family came out with doesn't justify that. And so I'm trying to correct the narrative for her because nobody else did. Nobody else stood up for your sister. And so that's been my main goal ever since I stepped back into this case. And, I'm going to be here until I put it all out. And like I said before, every time I kind of made a joke. I took a break and I went and watched one of my friend's live streams. And I said, I was making a joke to Gypsy. And I said, every move you make, every lie you say, I'll be watching you. And that's the truth. Every move you make and every lie you say, I will be watching you. And I'm going to call you out when I know you're lying, and I can prove it. And so this next excerpt that I want to show you is from Gypsy's Revenge, and it's going to be of Miss Dorla Pitre, her interview for Gypsy's Revenge.
There were 6 of us, 3 older brothers, and my oldest sister. I was the 5th child, and Dee Dee was the 6th child. She was considered the baby. Dee Dee wasn't a stranger to the law. She shoplifted. She was wanted for writing bad checks. She stole from many people. She would get so many credit cards underneath my dead mother's name and run up the bills like crazy. She was going to do anything, anyway, anyhow to get her way. Never heard anything about the Munchausen by proxy. Didn't even know what it was. When we found out what it really was all about, that's when we realized Dee Dee's doing to Gypsy what Mom did to her. My mom would always make us go play outside, and it was like, oh, well, your sister's not feeling good. Your sister's got an upset stomach. She's got a headache. Y'all go play outside. Be quiet. Leave her alone, My mom smothered her. She didn't want her to grow up. She wanted to keep her young so that she would always have her to hold on to. Our bedroom was where all of us kids slept. But Dee Dee always slept with my mama. It's like she was her shadow. Always by my mama's side, always.
And so this next excerpt that I want to show you is going to be of Evans Pitre. This is Dee Dee's brother, and this is in Gypsy's Revenge.
Dee Dee went out of her way to be different, by herself, a loner, and that's what she liked.
You know, you don't know that she's got a jacket, but she's got a short.
When Dee Dee was born, my mom said that she came along with all these sicknesses, heart murmur and stuff like that. She was not allowed to assist with chores. If Dee Dee didn't want to do it, well, then she didn't have to because the heart murmur. It was used like a crutch for a long time. But Dee Dee was basically not as sick as it was to believe. We didn't get to go to college, but Dee Dee went to college. We didn't get a car when we were growing up. Dee Dee got the car.
That's what Daddy's fixing for her to go in tonight. Dino says she needs a new one.
We knew if you wanted something, you had to go out and earn it. But Dee Dee just wanted it and got it. When my mom passed away, Dee Dee took it hard. You know, the person who babied her all her life wasn't there anymore.
Say hi.
But she still needed the attention. It didn't matter how, as long as it was coming.
And so, you know, I get beside myself when here you've been told that your sister was brutally murdered, and you're doing this documentary, and you're sitting there worried about whether you got a car or not, or you got to go to college, and all this stuff. I mean, I don't understand unless these people said, look, I need you to just talk as bad as you can about your sister and just, throw her under the bus and just smear her name as best as you can, just really talk nasty about her. I mean, that's what it seems like, because I'm beside myself. And so this next clip that I want to show you, it's an excerpt of Claudia Pitre's interview with Gypsy's Revenge.
Hey, dude.
Dee Dee's full name was Claudine Ann Pitre, but everyone called her Dee Dee. As she got older, Dee Dee couldn't get excited. Dee Dee couldn't jump around. She couldn't play outside. She couldn't overheat herself. Dee Dee was into beauty pageants, and my mama went out and bought her the prettiest dress, the prettiest shoes. She was just all about the attention.
And so this next clip that I want to play for you is going to be an excerpt from, it's an excerpt of Rod's interview with Gypsy's Revenge.
Katrina hit in 2005, and they were relocated to Missouri. That's 11 hours away. By that point, she'd let me talk to Gypsy on the phone whenever I wanted and everything, but she said a visit was pretty much out of the question.
And so he says a visit was pretty much out of the question. But then we have these Facebook messages between Rod and Dee Dee. This is dated April 16th, 2013. Snow Gypsy, which Dee Dee is the recipient, Rod is the author, Says, I'm confused, LOL. I'll call you when I get in the dock later this week. And then Dee Dee responded, okay, no problem. Okay, wait a minute. We somehow got ahead of ourselves here. So let me go back. It is still dated April 16th, 2013, and it's Dee Dee still the recipient, and Rod is the author. It says, okay, we're planning to come up there on July 24th, so check your calendar. And Dee Dee replied, will do. The only reason we won't be here is if Gyp's health or doctors is at the doctor's. Is the trip handicap accessible? Do you need doctor's notes for any arrangements? Can't wait to see y'all. And he replies back, no, they'll be out of school. We can't wait either. And Rod, or Dee Dee replies back to Rod. She said, no, I mean for the cabin or the activities for Gyp. And Rod replies back to Dee Dee. This is all still April 16th. He says, I'm confused, LOL. I'll call you when I get in the dock later this week. And so then she says, okay, no problem. I just thought you wanted Gyp to go with you on vacation. If not, just let me know. It's all right. Hugs. What? Dee Dee thought Rod wanted Gypsy to go on vacation with him? I thought she didn't want Rod around. According to Rod and Christy, they didn't want her around and blah, blah, blah. But here, Dee Dee thought Rod wanted to take Gypsy on vacation, and she was wanting to know if he needed any doctor's notes, if the trip was handicap accessible as far as handicap ramps and stuff for the wheelchair and blah, blah, blah. So then Rod replies back and says, well, I'd like that, but logistically it's very difficult. It would be better if we just come there and do stuff close to your place. We are going first to Tennessee and then Missouri, then home, a big triangle, unless you can drive and meet us in Tennessee. And so here Rod denies taking Gypsy on vacation. He says it just logistically is just going to be very difficult to do that. And so I'd rather not. That's not Dee Dee, that was Rod. You don't think it was difficult for Dee Dee? I mean, she had to deal with it. And you were half contributor to that child, Rod. So, why didn't you step up? I mean, that was your child too. She was sitting here, she thought you were going to go on vacation with her child, but no, it was just too logistically difficult for you. And so then, okay, let me see. I gotta let it go one more time right there. Come on now. Were we at the end? Okay, I guess that was the end. No wonder why I'm having trouble. And so I have another clip that I want to show you. It's not a clip, it's a screenshot. Of a Facebook message between Rod and Dee Dee. And this is Dee Dee. It's February 8th, 2013. And this is to Dee Dee, from Dee Dee to Rod. And it says, hey, Rod, it's income tax time. I'm going Saturday to do mine. You still want to claim Gyp? I can pick up the paper while I have mine done. It's up to you. Just let me know. How is everybody? Also, what is Grandpa Rod's address? Gyp made him a painting. We hope he feels better. I will talk to you later. We hope y'all are enjoying Mardi Gras. We each have a necklace, and we wear them pretty much all the time to keep in spirit. Love y'all. Hugs from the north. And so Rod replied back, said, hey, thanks, we're good too. Same old stuff. Yes, please send the tax paper and I'll send the money like we usually do. What? You mean you usually do this? And so this was in 2013, everybody. And so they usually do this. But according to all these documentaries that we watch, they don't ever speak. They didn't know where they were and all this jazz. But the Facebook messages say otherwise, right? And so my dad gets his mail at my house. Tell her thank you for the paintings. Miss y'all too. Did you have a chance to look at the calendar? We're definitely planning to come up for a visit. Let me know. Hug from the South. LOL. And then he let her know, hey, I got the tax paper. Thanks. Any chance to check the calendar? We're looking at coming visits July 27th to 28th. Any recommendation on local hotels? Hope y'all are doing good. Miss y'all. And so I'm not throwing shade at this or anything like that. They weren't doing anything illegal. I'm just showing you that they had communication. And Dee Dee was working with Rod on a lot of, wanted to see if Gypsy could go, she thought Rod was going to take her on vacation. Here, she's letting Rod claim on the taxes and they're splitting the money. And they usually do this, okay? And so this doesn't match, what the documentaries have always said. And so that's what I'm trying to prove here. It just doesn't match up with what they've always told the public. These Facebook messages definitely say otherwise. And so this next excerpt that I want to play for you is from Gypsy's Revenge, and it's David and Kim Blanchard.
Around her like family, which made it all the funnier that we shared a last name, but in no way were we actually blood related, but she could make you feel like you were.
Every time we saw them, they were always happy and go lucky and wanted to help. And so we wanted to help them as well.
Dee Dee had a lot of trouble asking for help, but they were actually given quite a bit of stuff, like trips to Disney World, Disneyland. They got the Habitat for Humanity house and the furniture in it and all that.
We have an awesome
Now, did you guys catch that? Did you see how different the interview was with these people versus Dee Dee's family members and everybody in Louisiana? It was like as different as night as day. I mean, down there in Louisiana, Dee Dee could do no right. She couldn't live life by the law. But then you talk to these people in Missouri, and she would just give you the shirt off her back. She had a hard time asking for help. I mean, it was just almost just drastically different than what we've been hearing. And just about everybody in Missouri was like that. They didn't have anything bad to say about Dee Dee until after the crime was committed. But before that, they had nothing bad to say. I mean, it was all good stuff. People were literally devastated to find out that she was brutally murdered. And so next, I want to share a screenshot from the Facebook group. It was dated October 28, 2018, and this is from Dee Dee's childhood best friend. And so she said, I was friends with Dee Dee and spent many nights at her house in Golden Meadow. At one time, we were best friends, like sisters. Some of the stuff from Wikipedia is false and some is true, but I know my experience with her, and I have been interviewed by a couple people for movies and documentaries. And so this is a picture of Dee Dee and Suzette at a Richard Marx concert. You can see Dee Dee down in the right-hand corner. And I don't know, I think that person with their mouth wide open, I believe that's Suzette, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. I remember her coming into Sir Morbid's chat many moons ago, and she was talking about this. And she was the one to let us know that Dee Dee was actually in a music video, a Richard Marx music video at that. And so, like I said, there she is down there in the right-hand corner. And I believe Suzette's the one that, is saying, hey! And so this clip I put together is of Dee Dee and Suzette's Facebook messages going back and forth December 10th, 2014. And so it says, does your mom, she thought it was, this is from Suzette to Dee Dee, and she thought it was, I guess, Gypsy's page. She says, does your mom have a Facebook page? And Dee Dee replied back, said, no, Susie, it's me, Dee. Jip is developmentally delayed, so we have one together. How are you? And she says, I'm good. How are you? And she said, wonderful. We don't live in Louisiana anymore. This is Dee Dee back to Susie. She says, we don't live in Louisiana anymore. We had a few years that was really bad, but now this is where we need to be, at peace in our beautiful baby pink house in the mountains of Missouri. How about you? Are you in Louisiana? Are you happy? I hope you are. And Suzette responds back, yes, I'm still on the bayou, about 10 minutes from my mom and dad. And yes, I'm happy. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 24. And Dee Dee replied back, great. What are their names? I bet they're spoiled like my Gypsy is. How are your mom and dad and Jared? And she replied back, her kids' names. And she says, mom and dad are okay. And Jared, well, I don't talk to him hardly. And so Dee Dee replies back, says, I know the feeling. Since mom passed, I've had hardly no communication with my family, and I'm better that way. We are at peace and don't need any of their drama. How was Hurricane Katrina on y'all? We were living in Slidell when it hit and lost everything but our lives. But God knew what he was doing sending us here. We love it. And Gypsy gets wonderful care. The only thing we don't like is being snowed in. We have learned and prepared for it. So good talk to you. I have missed you. And she replies back, she says, just a couple shingles missing, but that's it. I had heard that my brother sells drugs, and I told my mom, and now Jules, Patty, and Jared don't talk to me. And plus my daughter is Wicca, so they think I am too. And so she says, and I miss you too. And Dee Dee replied back and said, you daughter, it might be a phase. She will grow out of it. Just love her. Look at me. I was called every name in the book, some true, some far from, but we all grow up. And now Gypsy and I serve the Lord with all our heart. When you get a chance, give us a call. I would love to talk more. The snow is getting in the way of the reception. Our number is, and she gave her phone number. She said, love you and look forward to hearing from you. And she says, okay, that would be great. I'm glad you guys are doing okay. Stay warm. And that was it. And so the next thing that I would like to share with you is when Christy threatened to sue someone for slander in a post on, she was in this Facebook group, and apparently she threatened to sue somebody for slander, and it was dated August 27th, 2015, and this is courtesy of Jameson. It says, how are you going to get an attorney? Because people are talking shit to you on Facebook, but not get visitation of Gypsy. And I thought that was a pretty good question. And actually, people have been asking that, and they're still asking that. They still ask that to her, and there hasn't been a good enough answer. I can tell you that. And so we're going to fast forward to 2024 with this next clip. It's of a live stream where Christy, Gypsy's stepmom, was on a live panel answering questions, and this was her response as to why they didn't seek custody of Gypsy.
I'd go to court and demand visitation and demand access to what you thought was your sick child.
Yeah. This is, we've talked about that, and every time you get into an argument, Rod had to, Christy, please stop. She'd bring him to court. He's like, Christy, for the love of God, quit arguing with her. She brings him to court every time. And it's for petty shit. petty stuff she bring him to court for. We didn't get a Band-Aid.
And so here you can see that Rod didn't want to go to court against Dee Dee for Gypsy. And what Christy said there was, she said, you know, every time they got into an argument, Dee Dee would want to take her to court. And so Rod told her, Christy, for the love of God, would you stop arguing with her? I'm tired of her taking me to court. He didn't want Gypsy. He didn't want nothing to do with Gypsy. He just wanted to complete his obligations. He wanted to fulfill his obligations, and that was the extent of it. He didn't want the responsibility of Gypsy, and neither did Christy for that matter. This next clip, let me see, is the same live, and Christy was being questioned if Gypsy was found alive, you know, what was she going to do with her? Hold on 1 second. Here we go.
But never wanted to go back. She said, I thought she was in a field somewhere and they left her to die because all her wheelchairs were accounted for. And I'm like,
wait, what? Wait a minute.
The day we got the call that she went missing. And I'm freaking out because all her wheelchairs, they said, were there. And I'm like, oh my God, they brought her in the woods somewhere and they left her to die, or they're torturing her. I'm thinking the worst. And then I'm like, oh my God, when they find her, how am I going to take care of her? Because Dee Dee took such good care of her. You know, that was my mindset. I was terrified.
And so here she's trying to play it off, but she didn't want the responsibility to taking care of Gypsy either. She said, oh my God, when they find her, if she's alive, you know, what am I going to do with her? That's how I kind of interpreted that. What did you guys think? Did you interpret it the same way, or did you get a different take from it? And, you know, it's okay if you guys don't agree. I mean, that's okay. You don't have to agree. And we're all entitled to have our own opinions, you know. And if you heard something different, or if you interpreted it different, please let me know, because I interpreted it as she was really questioning, you know, like, what am I going to do with her if she is found alive? You know, I don't want the responsibility of her. And that's just kind of how I took it. But this next clip that I want to show you is a clip of Dee Dee and Christy's Facebook messages. Oh, what did it? Okay. And so you can see they started February 27, 2013. The recipient is Christy. So it says, love and prayers coming y'all way. We love all of our family. Tell Dylan that his Aunt Dee and sister wants him to be brave, and we're sending him lots of love, hugs, and well wishes. Please keep us posted on his surgery. We're at the hospital with Jip, but I did bring my laptop so I can keep in touch. Hugs, Dee. And so Christy responds back, sure will. Just getting up to bring him for 5:30. And she said, need your mailing address to send y'all a graduation pic of Dylan and what size you want. And then Dee Dee replied back, hello, Chris. Are y'all all right? It sounds like you guys are coming through something. We are here if y'all need to talk or anything. Jip and I are sending lots of hug and all our love. And then Christy replied back, said, he started a new job again. Can't say the name on Facebook. Company policy. Working for Chowset again. We're great. And then Dee Dee replied back, so glad everything is okay. Jip and I were worried. How are the kiddos? We sure missed y'all. And then she replied back, we're all good. Mia starts 7th grade Monday. Dylan is okay too. Miss y'all. Imagine that. Mia starts 7th grade Monday here, and she just got engaged to be married. Isn't that awesome? And then Christy replied back, what's going on that you need to see a lawyer? Hope everything is okay. And Dee Dee replied back, all is fine. Thanks. And then she replied, hey, Chris, can Rod call or make contact from offshore? We have asked him to call or email. Jip wanted to talk to him before she goes back to the hospital, and I would need to talk to him. Nothing wrong. Just catch up on how Jip is. Thanks. And Christy replied back, okay, I'll let him know. Love y'all. Dee Dee said, thanks. And then Christy replied back, they're doing drills right now. Have no clue how long it'll take. He said he will call later. And so, there, Dee Dee was asking if Rob would call Gypsy because Gypsy wanted to talk to him. And, Christy replied back they were doing drills and he'd call later. And I mean, I don't know how difficult it is to just place a 5-minute phone call, but he couldn't, for whatever reason, do that at that time. And so Dee Dee replied back and said, hey, Chris, was it you that you was looking for a bald Barbie? If so, we have 2 extra. Gypsy loves hers. So if you need them, what? Gypsy had a bald Barbie. I didn't think Gypsy was allowed to play with Barbies. That's the story we've been fed. But here she had not just 1 bald Barbie, but she's got 2 bald Barbies. And Gypsy just loves it. And so Christy replied back, said, no, it wasn't me, but love y'all too. And then they were just playing like a Facebook game there. I remember that game. And so that was, Christy authored that to send it to Dee Dee and gave her the letter C. I don't know. And I think that was probably it. Yeah, that was it. And so that was the extent of their Facebook messages. But you see, I mean, it was pretty cordial and all. But when you talk to Christy, or if Christy has anything to say about Dee Dee, it's always foul and just kind of nasty. And so I just want to play this clip of Dee Dee living her best life in the very moment during Cape Cod, her Cape Cod visit.
Cha-cha. Amazing, because I don't know this dance. I don't know this dance. What are you doing? Ow! Wow, that was really loud. Gotta remember, we're not at Vision Con.
Dee Dee had absolutely nobody to stand up for her and say, hey, she was worth something. Her life was worth something. Everyone said whatever the hell they wanted to say about Dee Dee because she wasn't here to defend herself. I listened to these terrible stories that her family put out, and then I listened to the stories the people of Missouri put out. They are as different as night and day. Now, don't get me wrong, Dee Dee wasn't a perfect person, and she had struggles in life. I don't care if she wrote 100 bad checks or opened 100 credit cards in her mama's name. That surely doesn't justify her being brutally murdered. And when I listened to her family crucify and throw her under the bus, acting like the things they were saying justified what happened to Dee Dee, it sounded more like sibling jealousy to me. The producer even asked Dee Dee's stepmother if she was sad at all when she heard that Dee Dee had been murdered, because all that woman could do was just say vile and nasty things about Dee Dee. She didn't say one good thing about her. And the woman was like, were you even sad when you found out that Dee Dee was murdered? I mean, you guys tell me what you think about all of this that I presented to you. It seems to me that the family came out of the woodwork to talk about Dee Dee and Gypsy. Dee Dee was this evil person that couldn't live her life right by the law. She was accused of starving her mother to death, which was an absolute lie. She was accused of feeding her stepmother Roundup. And I'm sorry, but this woman passed away after Dee Dee. If Dee Dee had been feeding that woman Roundup, why wasn't something done about it? And why wasn't she dead long before Dee Dee? I mean, no disrespect to her, but there's absolutely no way Dee Dee could have been feeding that woman Roundup for 9 months or whatever the father said. I just don't believe that. And again, if that was true, why on earth did anyone do anything about it? I think they look foolish coming out with some of these stories, and looking back in that Facebook group, many of those people questioned it too. Bobby seemed to be the biggest spokesperson, and he admitted early on that he didn't even really have anything to do with Dee Dee or Gypsy after she was about 7 or 8. I do side-eye Bobby. His opinion isn't his. It's a hand-me-down hostility. When it comes to Dee Dee's siblings, grief showed up and they hid behind petty. And last, when it comes to Gypsy, I truly believe she has emotional osmosis. She soaks up other folks' feelings and opinions like sweet tea on a white tablecloth, messy, fast, and without a single original thought in sight. Anyway, that is going to do it for me. As you know, I appreciate you all for your support. Without you, I wouldn't have a channel. Thank you. It truly means a lot to me. If you're new to my channel and like the content, please consider subscribing. It's a free way to support my channel. Y'all be sure to let me know what you think in the comments regarding the video. And if you like the content, be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. I hope y'all have a nice evening, and I'm out of here. See you again soon. And be sure to check out my friend Jameson over there on TikTok.
This is a case that we haven't dealt with, and it's because it's so unusual. I mean, it really is an unusual case. What we thought initially may be a victim turns out to be a suspect. And in the middle of this story that is twisted, we think we know who Gypsy is, but once this trial starts, we'll be able to see her life unfold and find out exactly what she was all about.
You make me say,